Welcome to GameWorx Extras. Today we're going to be talking about review scores for video games. I guess what I'm about to say could technically apply to any review, but mostly reviews for video games. Now, I don't have a problem with most of video game reviewing. Usually it's fine, and a lot of the big guys do it really well. Zero Punctuation is one of my personal favorites, but big companies like Otaku, GameSpot, IGN, Rooster Teeth, they all do pretty good. But I have one major issue with how they do things, and that's that little number that they give at the end. Because what's the point of it? No, really, I mean, what does it do? Not much, and to prove that, let's go through a little thought experiment here. Say that you were to play a game that is incredibly average. And I mean average in every way. Nothing is bad, but nothing stands out. Nothing's terrible, nothing makes you want to stop playing, but nothing really wants to make you keep going either. The sound, the story, the mechanics, everything, completely middle of the road. Can you imagine such a game? Okay, now, what score does it get? At first off, you think the answer is easy, but it's actually not very clear. If everything about this game is completely middle of the road, does that mean it gets a 5? That would make sense if it's exactly between 10, perfect, and 0, literally not a game. But 5 isn't the average. The average is 7. So if you had a completely average game, you would probably give it a 7 out of 10, not a 5 out of 10. But what does giving something a 7 out of 10 mean? Does that mean that only the top 3 out of 10 games are worth your time? Well, no, because more than 3 out of 10 games get 7 up. So what's it mean? And why is it that inflated? No one would buy a 5 out of 10 game, but a 7 out of 10 game you might. It also completely varies on what kind of gamer you are. For example, if you love shooters and you play every Call of Duty, Battlefield, and clone thereof that's ever come out, then maybe a 7 out of 10 shooter is worth your time. But if you're not into, say, real-time strategy games, 7 out of 10 might not be worth your time. But you can't decide whether or not these games are actually worth your time. You're deciding whether or not the number is worth your time. Which is a silly thing when the number is based off of, like I showed earlier, pretty much nothing. It's also rather confusing what the actual terms that we're talking about here are. What is a 10? Is a 10 a perfect game, a game that hits every point with no flaws? Or is a 10 a fully realized version of whatever genre the game is going for? Or does a 10 mean that the game succeeds at whatever it individually is trying to do? Is this mysterious out of 10 a complete objective package? Is it a comment on how this compares to other games like this game? Or is it a comment on how this game does internally? This is where my problem comes up. There is no answer. The 10 in whatever out of 10 means nothing, and the number that you put before it also pretty much means nothing. In any review, you need complex opinions to get your point across. And reducing it to a number is less than not complex, it's not having an opinion. Now, I've described why this system is kind of egregious just in general, but in video games specifically, no two people are going to experience the same game exactly the same. Some games are super linear and very similar, but even those, different people have different experiences, run into different glitches, have different emotional reactions, etc. And when you're talking about a huge game like Skyrim, the whole number system really falls apart. Everyone on the GameWorx team has played Skyrim, and we all have entirely different experiences and stories that happen to us in the game. We've all gone in different quests, in different orders, we've had entirely different quote-unquote lives in this game. All of our experiences are different, so any of us trying to generalize the entire game down to a single number would be an enormous generalization. So enormous as to be kind of pointless and not really describe anything. This is the reason that our review show, Is This a Good Review, doesn't use number scores. Link right there, also. Click on it. Good. First episode's about Battlefront 2. Watch that shit. Number scores are just a simplification that get in the way of actually informing and talking about what you think about the game. So do you guys agree or disagree with me? Are number scores good for gaming reviews? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and as always, see you guys next time.